Welcome to another episode of Bragg N Bout Business, brought to you by Cowboy Trail Brewery. Cheers to the West. Today we sit down with a local Bragg Creek business, Jennifer Wright Physiotherapy Consulting. When you want the right treatment, you call Jennifer. That's not her official slogan. I was just riffing, but nonetheless, Jennifer goes into detail on her practice, what drives her passion for continuous learning, and offers some great tips for living with a healthy, pain-free body. Enjoy. Jennifer Wright, welcome to Bragg N Bout Business.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, it's good. It's great to have you on. As I mentioned before, being a physiotherapist, you're the unsung heroes of rehabilitation, I think.
Well, we all enjoy our jobs a lot. I think I can safely say for my whole profession.
It must feel good when you have someone that's come in and is kind of broken and you're able to get them back on their feet again.
So very good days.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do leave work with a sense of purpose. And of course, not everyone can be 100%, but I like to tell all my patients everyone can improve. I mean, there's no doubt that there is a complete, certainty that you will improve.
That's
if you
right.
Come to see a physiotherapist.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you've been in the profession for quite a while now.
Yep. I graduated from McGill University in 1990. And so I've been working in the Calgary area for 35 years.
My goodness.
And 20 of them have been here in Bragg Creek for the most part.
Excellent.
Which has been wonderful.
Of course.
And,
There's that many broken people in Bragg Creek?
Bragg Creek is a very active population.
We
Very
are.
People are on the move here.
Indeed.
At high speeds often.
That's right. Yeah. That's a good city full of business then.
Yeah, but I like to, again, word out to all of my patients. If everyone, stays healthy and uninjured for the remainder of time, I will find a new job. That would be wonderful too.
Indeed. Exactly.
I want to encourage injuries at all.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to hurt people just to keep the business going. No, you don't want that.
No.
So how did you choose physiotherapy as your profession? What was it that inspired you? We're going to go back.
This is an interesting question.
1990.
Yeah. So I had to decide what to do with my science degree. And I knew I wanted to go into something to do with science. And I was going to be a chemical engineer. I had my eye on that and had loved organic chemistry and all the chemistry through my science degree.
Excellent.
And then my mother, shout out to my mother, she said, you really like sports. I'd been involved in every kind of sport possible in my childhood and teenage years. And she had heard that, physiotherapists worked a lot with athletes.
Of course.
And thought that might be a good fit for me.
Yeah.
And when I realized how difficult it was to get into the physiotherapy program in universities all across Canada, I put chemical engineering as my second choice, even though,
a good idea,
and I thought, well, in the end, I'll be a chemical engineer anyway.
Right, good backup.
So it was my mother. She really didn't know much about physiotherapy, and nor did I. And I ended up in the program, and I have just loved it ever since. It was a right call. Everyone out there, listen to your mother.
Yeah.
When your mother says you'd be better doing this, she's probably right.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely.
So yeah, no, it's been a very good career. I started. Initially, when I came to Calgary, I worked as a resident, so I was unpaid, my last residency. And of course, I discovered the mountains whilst working at the Calgary General Hospital.
Right.
They offered me a job after my residency, and I thought, well, there's more mountains to see. You can't see them all at once. You can't climb them all
yes, that's
in 2 months. So I stayed, and I worked in neurosurgery, which as a physiotherapist, that involves working with strokes and brain injuries.
Right.
Anybody who's had really severe damage to their spinal cord or brain. And I probably would have stayed there forever. I really, really enjoyed the team I worked on at the Calgary General Hospital, which has since been demolished.
Yes, you can just see the foundation, I think, still.
Still can you? That's exciting.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me feel even older. It's an ancient historical site.
That's what it looks like when you go there. I'm not going to lie, but
it was a wonderful place, and the whole team, like nurses, surgeons, physiotherapists. It was great to be there, and I loved it. I actually have an injury myself.
Okay.
In my low back, I'd broken my low back quite severely.
Wow.
And I found moving people your size, if you had a brain injury or spinal cord injury, was a little tougher on my back.
I can imagine.
The neurosurgery physiotherapist or the neurological physiotherapists do a lot of heavy lifting.
Yes.
And so I thought at the young age of 23, I shifted over to orthopedics and sports medicine and started working at the University of Calgary
Oh,
Sports
cool.
Medicine Center.
Excellent. So
Yeah.
you worked with like Team Canada and those programs too?
Yeah, we had the National Training Center there at the time. It's no longer located there, but so pretty much all the athletes, the elite athletes from across Canada were at some point training out of the University of Calgary
Fantastic.
Sports Medicine Center in that area.
Very cool.
So it was cool. It was very exciting when I was in my early 20s. It was a
Oh,
really fun, dynamic
of
environment. It
course.
was a we also, it was a research center, and so yeah, it was a lot of really cutting edge stuff going on.
Yeah,
And yeah, I had a wonderful time, and I learned incredible things from, some of the top people in Canada
no
in
doubt.
sports medicine, orthopedics, that kind of world. And
Yeah.
yeah, so and then I got older and older, and I had a child. And
Life
so
changes.
life
Life
changes.
changes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, again, that job I probably would never have left, but after having two children, I decided I wanted to live in a smaller town and have them grow up a little closer to nature as I had when I was a kid. And so that's how I ended up here at my wilderness physiotherapy clinic.
Uh, so originally, where did you move from when you came to Alberta?
So I lived in Quebec as
In
a
Quebec.
child,
Oh, okay.
and in a small town with lots of forest and freedom.
Nice.
So I spent most of my childhood wandering the forests of Quebec,
Uh,
and we didn't have cougars to my knowledge, nor did we have grizzly bears. So parents weren't overly concerned with their 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds
yes,
wandering off into the
that
woods.
is
It
true.
didn't seem to be a big
Yeah,
deal at the
yeah.
time.
A little different story in Bragg Creek.
We have to be a little more careful here with our children.
Yes, of course.
But I was trying to recreate that for my family. I feel like there's this huge sense of grounded values that come from being in the natural world, and
100%.
I wanted my kids to have them, and it's something it's hard to teach. It's very hard to teach that, but you can just put them out there, and
Exactly.
it just absorbs in.
Yeah. Well, then
It's
they're going to pass that along to their children
yeah.
eventually as well. No, that's good. So going back for a second to your time with the University of Calgary, is there any particular sport that you found intriguing when you were working on these athletes?
I'm from Quebec, and at that time when I grew up, there was not a lot of rodeo. So one of the athlete groups we worked with at the University of Calgary Sports Medicine Center was the rodeo guys when they came through at the Stampede.
Oh yeah.
So Stampede Rodeo. And I have to single this out. There was a gentleman who came in one day with an injury, and I always would ask, what was your sport and how did you do this?
Right.
He said, well, I did this on saddle bronc. And I said, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to explain to me.
Saddle what?
You're gonna have to explain to me what saddle bronc is, because I was new at this, and
Yeah.
yeah, and it turned out this was Dwayne Danes, who was at the time the world champion in saddle bronc,
Wow.
and he patiently explained to me his sport.
Yes.
And yeah, I had a few other experiences like that with speed skating.
Oh.
And didn't have a huge knowledge about long track speed skating when I arrived at the sports medicine center. So again, patiently, different elite athletes would explain to me exactly what they were doing and how it worked, and
Wait.
that was relatively straightforward. And then we got to skeleton. I don't know if everybody out here knows what skeleton is.
Yes, it's a different sport for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that I mean, there was a lot of humor. I mean, with skeleton, it literally I learned the American gold medal champion for the Olympics was, sitting in front of me, having to explain again how he got his injury and what exactly a skeleton.
Hurdling head down, head first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
was.
Oh, yeah.
And so
Nice.
I'm much more savvy now. I think I know my sports pretty good.
That's good.
Again, coming from different culture, right? Like from the Quebec culture, some of these things just weren't part
Yeah,
of
they're
my
not a thing out there.
childhood.
Yeah, they're not a thing out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. So can you share with us a story that changed your perspective on healing and rehabilitation?
Wow,
That's a big question, I mean,
that's a very big
right?
question.
Because you've had almost 4 decades of
Yeah.
experience working with people now.
Yeah.
Maybe it was something early on in your
I
career.
think I was very affected by working with neurological patients, which had been my original goal when I was
Right.
studying at McGill. I studied the brain in depth, many courses, because I wanted to work with neurology
Sure.
and help people with strokes and brain injuries, etc. I think working with young people that have been thrown out of their cars
Mm,
and are, put into wheelchairs for life
yes.
as quadriplegics or paraplegics definitely affected me probably more than almost anything else I've ever done. Like to see, I will never forget the patients that I worked with
Yeah.
at the Calgary General Hospital. I will never forget any of them.
Yeah.
Just the things that they went through. I remember one gentleman, he'd been just sitting on his fence, rancher, fell over backwards off the fence, and guy in his 60s, broke his neck.
My
And
goodness.
yeah, I won't forget this either. In the hospital, he was not a quadriplegic yet. The neck was broken, but he was still not a quadriplegic. He was waiting for surgery, and he moved too much in the night and
Oh
severed his spinal
no.
cord.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so that sort of really grounded me at age
Wow.
22, just
Right?
to see these things happening and to see the young people and the bravery that they had.
Yes.
Many young people who through car accidents for the most part, sometimes sporting accidents like diving into the bottom of a lake with a rock. um yeah,
Yes.
I was dramatically changed as a 22-year-old
No doubt.
working with a lot of really brave, strong-minded, essentially kids
Yes.
that had, yeah, just dramatically changed their life.
Made it one bad decision and it changed their lives forever.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and yet watching, like, some of the spirit that these people had to get back and go and, you know, in
Yeah.
very difficult situations.
No kidding.
Yeah, I think it will stay with me forever.
For sure. What is one of the more dramatic transformations you've seen?
I think everybody that I work with, if people have, a pretty significant injury and you see the injury heal, it's always dramatic. It could be a shoulder injury. I mean, just recently I saw, a fairly torn rotator cuff, a pretty bad shoulder injury in an athlete. I saw it heal. Like I saw, the person back at their sport at a high level,
That's pretty cool to
and
see.
a
Yeah.
person sort of, in their middle-aged years. And I see it all the time. This is just a recent one. And it just is exciting, right?
Yeah.
Because people don't know always how amazing their body is. We don't
It's a
always.
miracle, really, the things our bodies can go through.
Yes, with the right information, the right hard work, it is absolutely incredible, like, what you can do with an injury. So I think there's thousands of them I've seen now. I mean, in Bragg Creek alone, I have thousands of patients that have come through my clinic in the last 20 years, and it's amazing to see.
Yeah.
People often come in, and let's say you had broken your leg really badly and hurt your knee, and you come back to me 2 years later, and I'll say, like, "How's your knee doing?"
Yeah.
And you'll say, "My knee?" "No, no, I'm here for my shoulder." And you won't even remember.
Right?
The
Exactly.
human being has the tremendous ability to forget, but I remember everything about the injury, and sometimes it's incredible to see how well people are doing
It
with, quite traumatic damage to their body.
No kidding, no kidding. I think
Yeah,
I've gone to a physiotherapist once in my life. It was for a shoulder issue. I think I was
yeah,
just working out incorrectly, and
yeah.
so I had kinda just a hitch in my get along there, and I went to 2 or 3 sessions, and she said, "You can keep coming back, but if you just did these exercises every day, we wouldn't have to see each other anymore." And I'm
Yeah,
like, "Okay, well, that's what I do," and I still do the stretches to this
that's
day,
fantastic.
and that was probably 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that about half of my patients now, 50%, I am seeing for that kind of thing. Like we're just trying to fine tune, injuries that are underlying,
Yeah.
but that you can completely control with the right exercises,
Yeah, preventative.
whether it's stretching or whether it's strengthening, depending on the joint.
Yeah,
Shoulder's a big one for, just certain little finicky exercises
of
can make
course.
such a big difference.
Yes, I mean, and I'm 6'9", so I've got a lot of
There's a
a
lot.
lot of distance in movements in my body, so
Yeah.
I'm probably prone to having some issues.
Yeah.
Hopefully later in life, not now.
Not necessarily. I mean, your
Yeah,
body's all in proportion.
I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true enough. What is one of the more common misconceptions about physiotherapy that people have?
Oh, that they're gonna be, tortured. Many people come in and say, "Are you now going to torture me?" So, I mean, hopefully,
Yes.
this is not what we're all doing. I think sometimes, when you're in a lot of pain and to get a knee that, has just had a big surgery or to get a shoulder moving that hasn't moved in, 3 years,
Yeah.
sometimes, there is some discomfort involved, and
Sure.
sometimes there are moments where pain does occur.
Yeah.
But, as a profession, like, I think we try to minimize that as much as possible. So, yeah, I'd like to
Dispel that.
dispel that.
Yes,
That's the
exactly.
word.
And there
It's
is
like,
and there is no silver bullet if to an
no,
injury, is there? There's no
no,
overnight success.
no, and we all have totally different levels of, pain perception. So,
Mm.
I can't relate to you, and you can't relate to me on how we perceive pain.
Right, I could have
Yeah,
an 8 out of 10 pain, and you might
yeah,
feel like a 2 out of 10.
right.
Yeah,
But that changes. Tomorrow, your pain might be rated differently hormonally, like our hormonal changes, like just, our body, our nervous system, like whether
right,
it's really alert or whether it's feeling really calm. All these things can affect how we experience pain.
for
And
sure.
yeah, so I don't. like to focus on pain, but I do get people to give me subjective numbers. I'll ask you, out of 10, if 10 is the worst pain, where would you rank yourself between 0 and 10, with 10 being the worst pain? And then all I care about is your perception. It's not mine. I
That's
just want to know
true.
how you feel about it. And then
Yes.
that gives me a signal as to how I should go forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. So in what year then did you start your practice in Bragg Creek?
In 2005.
Okay. So
2005.
20 years
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a really just wonderful, magical, special place to work.
Yeah,
And I mean, I made a decision when I moved to Bragg Creek for my kids that I would not continue working at the sports medicine center as much as I loved it.
for sure.
And it's been a really good transition for me too, because working out here allows me to see all my patients for 1 full hour. And I'd always felt a bit rushed, working in the city clinics. I
Yes.
did go back and work at the National Spine Center for a couple of days a week while I was in Bragg Creek, and Sunshine Physiotherapy. Shout out to them, and in Cochrane, an amazing clinic
Excellent.
owned by Denise Brochu, another phenomenal physiotherapist.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked in a couple of places, a couple of days a week, just to sort of let my patients know, hey, I'm still connected to the real world. I'm not just in my basement in Bragg Creek.
Hiding out
Yeah,
from the world. Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, to work with different physicians as well and on different teams with,
Yeah.
I work, with some chiropractors and
It's good to have that network and,
yeah,
and learning from people too.
yeah, different massage therapists. It's nice to work on a team and be connected to other people. But what I found is I could do my job best at my house in my home clinic. I can literally spend an hour and more
Yeah.
with a lot of my patients in my home clinic. And for the patient, the cost is less than it would be in Calgary. And so
There
it's
you
a
go.
there's a couple of practical reasons why I moved to my house. And one of them was I have so many things that I want to do with people. You're taking so many courses,
Yes.
so many years, and I can make a big difference if I have the time. But
Yeah.
if you only have 20 minutes, you can be the most skilled person on planet Earth and you can't always make the difference. You need the time.
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm grateful to the patients that drive all the way to my home clinic in Elk Valley,
Yeah.
West Bragg Creek, because it allows me to do what I want to do with people and hopefully, like, the patients benefit in
Yeah.
return.
Well, that's a very
Yeah.
good value proposition. If you're offering a higher standard of care
Yeah.
at less money,
Yeah, and
my
I
goodness.
I don't like to I don't present it that way all the time, but I mean,
We can
yes,
cut that part
but
out if you want.
but it is no, like, I mean, that is it is a fact. It's a win-win for both of the patient and me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have quite a few people who come from, Calgary or Cochrane
Yeah, so they drive out.
or Frittis or Millerville or
That's
yeah,
excellent.
and I'm always grateful that they do because it allows me to work in my house, and as everybody who works in their house knows,
Yes.
including you right now,
Right?
it's
Yes.
wonderful.
Yeah,
It's
great.
you save a lot of time. So I put that time into, more education and more courses and
Fantastic.
yeah.
Good for you. What challenges do you remember you had to kind of go through at the beginning when starting out? As from a business aspect, of
Oh,
course.
from a business aspect, no challenges
No,
really.
it was easy peasy.
Yeah, I'm not a business person. I know this is Bragg Creek business, and I know I have a business. I'm aware of that.
Of course. But it's
But I
varying
think
degrees.
because
Yeah.
I'm a healthcare person, I really want to make a difference. Like my whole goal is to make a difference. If someone comes to see me and they think, well, that was useless, I say to them, well, tell me, email me, let me
Right.
know. And if I can't help you, then maybe I can find someone who can. Like my
Yes.
goal is to make a difference. This is my, my
Which is
lifetime.
beautiful.
Yeah, I want to empower people, but I also want to make sure that when they have experienced a treatment with me, that they feel that something's positive. And now and then someone will come back and they'll go, nope, nope, that did not make a difference. Nope.
Okay. Yeah.
And for me, it's a challenge.
It's good feedback.
I'm quite competitive. I want people to have good experiences. And I feel like sometimes in some of the bigger clinics, it doesn't matter whether it's physical therapy or chiropractic or any other healthcare profession. The physicians as well, they're seeing so many people in a short period of time.
Oh my goodness,
Just
are they ever.
through the way the system is set up, I feel that it's hard. Like people
Very.
don't always get the best treatment,
No,
and it's
it's-
no single person's fault. But I'm trying to change it in my own little way by
Yeah.
doing what I do in the best way possible.
Which is very commendable.
Yeah, which is why,
Absolutely.
yeah. So this is why I love what I do.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you're passionate about it. I can see it. It comes across.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've spent. I mean, in that last 35 years since graduating from university, I have spent thousands of hours in courses. Learning Chinese medicine,
Right.
osteopathy, cranial
Yeah.
sacral therapy, which is a bit of osteopathy anyway. I have sports medicine courses endlessly, orthopedic courses endlessly.
Right.
So
That's good though. You're staying on top of your craft.
I'm trying to stay on
Yeah.
top of my game, but at the same time, it's fun, right? This is enjoyable. Like you keep
Yeah.
learning, and then you think, "Oh my gosh, that man Greg that I saw once. If I'd only known this then, I would have been
Yeah.
able to help him." So there's always little extra bits that come through with,
Yes.
I've taken courses all over North America, and I search out at this point, like people that are more knowledgeable than me on certain topics,
Which is great.
and then
Yeah.
I zoom over to most recently. I was in Albuquerque this time last year
Wow.
studying kidneys and their position and how they affect the back and the spleen and more osteopathy type stuff, but it links into physiotherapy and the spine dramatically anyway. But I had to go to Albuquerque, New Mexico to find the teacher that I wanted to learn what I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
And I was not disappointed. It was wonderful. And all those new skills are just they make my job more exciting.
And more interesting. You're staying
Yeah.
fresh. You've got more inspiration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like,
Yeah.
it's one of those and yeah, and challenge, right? Like, the challenge, like, there's a lot of serious injuries out there. People are suffering from a lot of really tough things. I would like to be able to make a difference, and every now and then I think, "Gosh, like, if I just knew a little bit more about
Yeah.
the anatomy and the physiology and the techniques to get in behind the lung and affect the pleura, and, how does that work with the thoracic spine and the ribs?" And there's always some little thing that
Yeah.
somebody out there in North America, or elsewhere can teach me,
Of
and I
course.
just have to find them. I just have to
Yeah.
put down my, $5 or $10,000, whatever it is, and
Right.
I mean,
Yes.
so what you'll find is most physical therapists, most physiotherapists in the United States, they call them physical therapists here,
Okay.
physiotherapist. But most of us love to take courses. Most of
Yeah.
us love continuing education, and so, yeah,
Yeah.
it's the personality that goes into this career.
That's
It's
awesome.
like,
You talked about Eastern medicine.
yeah, I practice a lot of acupuncture and
Yeah.
cupping and things from the Chinese medicine realm. And that has been a game changer for
Yeah.
my profession. I've been doing that for since my late 20s, I guess I took the course. So we're coming on how many? I'm 57 now, so I
Yeah.
guess 30, almost 30 years of
Yeah.
Chinese medicine incorporated into what I do.
And that was like going back that long ago. That was kind of a new cutting edge thing for the Western world.
It was very new. It wasn't very
Yeah.
accepted, and we were very lucky. It's another little sidetrack, but Dr. Stephen Ong is a medical doctor, but he was also a Burmese healer and an expert in Chinese medicine.
Okay.
And he found Alberta as his place to work as a physician. And very rapidly, people started to realize that he had more gifts than most of us. And when physicians or physiotherapists couldn't figure out what to do with a patient, often Dr. Ong would cure them. Cure is a strong word, but would, enable them to heal from
Sure.
things that no one else could do.
Yeah.
So anyway, he ended up teaching 20 years of programs at the University of Alberta in the medical school.
Okay.
And I was really lucky to be in one of those early years. And so I spent a lot of time learning from him
Yeah.
and changed my life. My life will never be the same, and in a good way.
Yeah. That's
Yes.
great.
Yeah, so
That's
he
great.
opened, and just a comment I'd just like to say for those people who may listen to this that may have known Stephen Ong, he passed away on
Oh.
October 26th.
Oh no.
He's in his 80s, absolutely amazing man. Like, gave more to healing for Alberta physiotherapists and doctors, than, I think one single
Yeah.
person ever could have. And so his legacy is
Yeah,
left here in
that
Alberta. I'm just one of the many, many people who,
that he touched. Yeah.
yeah, that he
Yeah.
touched and that now try and pass on some of that information to our patients.
Oh, that's a nice legacy to
Yeah.
leave behind.
Yeah, but that was
Yeah.
the integrating of the East and the West. Like his
Yeah.
goal was
And
to
tho-
integrate the East and the West.
and a lot of these practices now are just common. Like everybody knows you could go to massage therapy, you get cupping if you
Mhm.
need it. You need that
Yeah,
extra release.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple of different ways to use cupping, and so one way, and so both physiotherapists and massage therapists use it this way. If you have, let's say you have a knee that you've just had surgery on, you might find that it's really helpful to use a cup, just mechanically all around
Yeah.
the knee to loosen up the soft tissue and get it moving again better after everything kind of sticks together, maybe
Right.
a total knee replacement, etc.
Yeah.
So that's one way to use it, or on your back where you're tight muscles. And then another way to use cups is along the energy channels. And so, yeah, I tend to do a lot of that, and it's quite amazing. You can open up the energy channels, which are rather ambiguous and
Yep.
debated, but
Yep.
the idea is that the Chinese medicine meridians are in your myofascial tissue.
Ah,
So they kind
okay.
of flow through your fascia and your muscles and and sometimes things get so tight that the energy can't move. And then all of a sudden you have a sore shoulder or
Right.
neck and
Yes.
it doesn't seem to be healing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you necessarily have to have cupping or acupuncture. They're just techniques.
Sure.
But it may be just your stretching, your own stretching
Yes.
that gets that opened up again, and all of a sudden you think, "Oh, I feel much better."
Feels way better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, lots of however people work, whether it's, physios, massage therapists, chiropractors, all of us work on the soft tissue, and if you can open up tight areas, energy moves.
Yeah.
And a yoga would be an
Makes
example.
sense.
Like, we've got great yoga instructors in Bragg Creek, and, yeah, so when you go to a yoga class or when you do your yoga at home,
Right.
you're opening up your energy channels
Yeah.
yourself.
Well, you can kind of liken it to like a water hose, and it gets a kink in it and the water doesn't flow anymore.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep,
Yeah.
and these are electrons,
Yeah.
and we need the electrons moving at a speed of light through these channels in order to generate, the voltage. It's actually millivolts, but there's millivolts around all your cells, there's a charge, and if the charge becomes abnormal, then that leads to serious problems. We sometimes label that as cancer. Like,
Right.
if the charge is really off, if the charge is just a little off, you don't heal as well as you'd like. And so normalizing the charge is really important. And
Okay.
acupuncture is one way to do it. There are others.
All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Is there any particular techniques or technology that has come on the scene in the last few years that gets you excited?
The longer I practice, the more I tend to focus on more the ancient ways
Okay.
and my hands. And the more I practice, the more my hands can feel and see and do.
Yes, I can imagine.
And I liken it. I've never been blind, but when you see people that are born blind and you see what they can do with their hands,
It's amazing.
yeah, like I just,
Painting and
yeah.
music
And when they read
yeah.
Braille,
Oh,
and so when I
yeah.
first became a physiotherapist, actually, when I was at McGill, I remember being in a class, and just as an example,
Sure.
we were learning how to feel the little facet joints in the neck, just little tiny joints in the neck. They're
Yeah.
all about, a centimeter squared. Yours are bigger.
Yeah.
You're taller. Anyway, they're not that big. And I remember putting my hand on someone, I was probably in like second year physiotherapy, and the teacher saying, "Okay, so now you feel the joint and feel how it moves." And I thought, she's making it up. That's not possible.
Right?
Because my hands didn't have that ability. Like the sensory connection from my fingertips to my brain wasn't there at that point.
Right.
And so I did not believe the teacher. I did not believe it was possible. Of course it is possible. And now I can do this 35 years later.
That's pretty cool.
Like, it takes a bit of time sometimes to develop your sense of
Touch.
touch
Yeah,
and
your
feel.
touch.
And yeah, I think mine will keep developing for another 20 years.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, you think of all the things that are going on in our bodies all the time, and then if you can feel and touch
Yeah.
to know exactly what's going on. Like we probably all had massages where they tell us, "Oh, you're super inflamed here, or you don't have much mobility in this joint," and I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah.
But they can feel it, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
and a massage therapist work hands-on extensively,
Yeah,
and so, yeah, they develop incredible senses of touch.
yeah,
And it's not just, this will sound odd, but it's for all of us. We call it's the body workers,
right.
physiotherapists,
Yes,
chiropractors, massage therapists, osteopaths. The longer anybody works with people, the more that develops, but it develops at an intuitive level too. And so
yeah,
there's information coming to your hands that you can't objectify. It's probably coming from the right brain. It's
right.
harder to actually measure, and you just know.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's something that takes a bit of time to develop as well.
Oh, no
Like,
doubt.
we've got some phenomenal massage therapists in our town
Yeah.
that are very good at that.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. That's excellent. But what is one of the best things a person can do for their overall bodily health?
That's a great question. If someone comes in with an injured knee, or, a chronic shoulder or low back that just never seems to heal, and I am seeing them for the first time, I always feel that it's important to outline the importance of good sleep. I think these are all becoming fairly well known now.
On foundational
Foundational,
things.
good
Yeah.
sleep, very important to eat well.
Yes.
I promote the organic food diet, like to try and eat food with as minimal pesticides in it as
Sure.
possible, because we
Yeah.
know that in order to heal and to have a solid system working, all systems in your body, you've got to have a good GI system,
Yeah.
gastrointestinal system, and the microbes that live in your
In your gut.
gastrointestinal
Yeah.
system, they are destroyed by the pesticides in a lot of our food. And so then that slows down your healing. So
Right.
eating really healthy organic food, support those organic farmers. It really does make a difference in your health. Support the Alberta beef, but like the grass-fed, grass-finished Alberta beef.
Yeah.
It's good for you. It's good for the ranchers. It's good for all of us.
That's right. Yes.
Just so food, sleep, exercise, of course. I think most people in Bragg Creek are here
Very
for that.
active.
Yes,
Yes.
people are walking and biking and skating
Yeah.
and etc. That's great. And then the sun. I think even in Bragg
Hmm.
Creek, we sometimes forget the sun.
Yes.
It's so important to be in natural light for, a chunk of your day, if possible, preferably like right in the morning,
Yeah.
just to get the circadian rhythms going,
Right.
because all these things affect our ability to heal. And so if you have a chronic tendonitis that just never seems to go away, or you have 3 or 4 things like that, sun is powerful and often overlooked and free.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's real, especially heading into the winter months now.
Yeah.
We want to make sure you get some
Yeah,
sunlight.
I mean, so when you said technologies that are new, one of the ones that does excite me is we do live obviously in a place that gets quite dark
Hmm.
for the next few months.
That's right.
And so we're not exposed to sun. And if you leave to go to work in the morning, you leave in the dark, you're in your office all day under fluorescent lights often or in front of your computer, and then you come home in the dark, that's really hard on the system.
Yeah.
And this is the reality of living where we live at this, this particular
Yeah.
geographic location. So they have some really nice red light devices at this point
Oh,
that you can sit by your computer and, work while you have light shining at you. Or you can, wake up in the morning and just stand in front of a red light device, for a few minutes. And it just gets all your body's hormonal systems going. It gets everything going as though you're watching a sunrise. The sunrise is always better.
natural.
No technology will ever replace the sun.
Of course.
However, one of the things that excites me the absolute most is, the light stuff that's going on right now, because I think it's helping a lot of people survive depression,
Hmm.
not only
Yes.
depression, but, injury,
Yeah.
chronic injuries that don't heal.
Yeah.
They do really
That's
well.
depressing in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of companies out there. People have to do their own research and
Right.
see what works for them. I just brought aloft. This is just a small light tool,
Oh, okay.
but I'll just shine it at the camera so you can get a sense. This is a
Sure.
laser.
All right.
So this is a scalar wave laser. The computer processor turns the waves into scalar waves, which is a bit of quantum physics. But if I
Wow.
press this button, you'll see the
Cool.
light coming out.
Yes.
And so light is healing. Like that light is incredibly healing. And this one, you can't see the near infrared. Near infrared light is invisible.
Okay.
It's absolutely amazing for orthopedic injuries, sports medicine
Okay.
injuries. Red light is great for soft tissue injuries that are fairly close to the surface of the skin.
Okay.
Violet light's great for infections. So when people come in with like dental pain can affect our whole body. So
Sure.
if someone has an infection or something, the violet light can be used for that. This is just a basic laser. I have attachments to it that have much more powerful
Okay.
sound heads. Again, I never like to promote anything that's too high tech.
Sure.
I mean, I do use them in my practice. I still think, again, the ancient techniques are the best, but a lot of these things can be used at home. There's a lot of home things that can be brought into your house so you can work on
Yeah.
healing yourself. And yeah, light is one of the most exciting ones I think that
But-
has come out in the world of not just physical therapy, but just healing.
Well, I've seen these things, these red light hats that people are wearing to regrow hair.
Yeah.
I don't know if it works with that or not, but they're selling them.
What I would say is be really careful who you buy it from. They're not dangerous ever, but there are definitely companies that are producing really, really effective products.
Yeah.
And then there's another 1,000 that are not.
Oh, and I imagine you
So-
pay for what you get too. Yeah.
You pay for what you get, but
Yeah.
again, like just if you, it's changing every year. I attend the biohacking conferences a lot. So biohacking is, again, trying to figure out how to maximize the function of the human body. And I was in Austin last year and Dallas the year before for these are huge, like cutting edge health conferences, like all the top cutting health stuff in healing is there. And it's very interesting, but the difference from just one year to the next is the thing that, the phenomenal thing that you thought was great. The next year has been eclipsed by, other technology.
Interesting.
So like the AI and computer world, which are all
Yeah.
involved in a lot of this,
Yep.
this world is changing fast.
Oh, my
So-
goodness.
I like people to be careful. So although it's exciting, you should be careful what you buy because you
Yeah.
don't want you like there's a
Don't
lot
hurt
of
yourself,
a lot of
yeah.
money involved. And
Yeah,
just-
exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah, do your research. Do your
Okay.
research well. I use one in my clinic right now called Sauna Space. Sauna Space. Sauna is another one of the top things you can do just to be overall healthy.
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah. So Sauna Space is a company that's produced something where you get the light and the heat at the same time at
Okay.
a lot of near infrared waves. I think it's one of the better companies out there right now for healing. I mean, just for healing overall anything in your body. Again, does it grow hair back? That I cannot answer. That is not my specialty.
Right.
There's a lot of people working on that.
Yes, I'm sure there is.
So-
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah.
$1 million idea right there.
Yeah.
So we've got a segment on the show called These Three Questions.
Oh, okay.
All right, because we've asked a lot of questions. We're going to ask some more. So these three questions. Questions number one, what three pieces of advice would you give to somebody that would come into your clinic?
I it depends on the person because everyone comes with such different
Hmm.
knowledge bases and different injuries and,
Yep,
different goals as well,
for sure.
and, different age groups. But what I always like to do is, make sure that the treatment we've done first, is actually useful.
Hmm.
I like to send people home with a couple of things they can do,
Sure.
which will continue to improve things.
Because they're not going to fix themselves just coming to see you once a week. They got to do
No,
this stuff every day at home.
no, some of my patients come once a year. One
There you
session
go.
once a year. We do a
Yeah.
good tune-up. I mean, that's more the tune-ups to
Yeah,
maximize function so that you can maximize, your ability to do anything.
for sure.
I work a lot on spines. So I think spines have been one of the areas that if we can keep them moving really well,
Right.
people will mountain bike,
We take our
run.
spines for granted.
Yeah, they're very important.
Yeah. Yeah, they
So
are.
so yeah, if we can increase the blood flow to the spine and maximize the range of motion in the spine and minimize the compression
Yes.
on the discs, um, I know this is sidestepping your question, but like this is amazing for all function,
Yeah.
for your arms and your organs, your kidney, your liver, everything functions through the spine.
Right.
And by spine I mean the brain as well. So it's really important to make sure that
Yeah, all connected.
yeah, that there's nothing. If there's too many tight muscles yanking on your skull, that can affect the
Hmm.
vagus nerve as it leaves your
Yes.
skull and goes down to your stomach. Now you have digestive problems. So physiotherapy is starting to cover an awful lot of
Sure is.
ground. So there is no three things that I would say to my patients because they're all so different.
Of course.
But I do like to make sure that people have A, a good treatment, B, go home with something useful that they can do to further
Yep.
improve the situation.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then we talk about, just the general health aspects of things too, like the food and sleep and
Yes.
exercise.
Because you don't want to, you're doing all these good things on one side, but you don't want to sabotage yourself
Yeah.
by having you know, a lot of junk food and fast food and those kind of
Yeah.
things.
When you're injured, it's a really good time to like, yeah, up your game on
Hit the
everything.
reset button. Get back to
Exactly.
basics again. Question number two. What would you say to someone to continue to motivate them when their progress might feel slow to them?
Well, I just try and talk honestly with everybody. Some injuries do take a good year to heal.
Yeah.
But this is the benefit of having worked for 35 years. I can now look at you when you come in with something quite serious, and I can say, "Okay, this is gonna take, 3 months to even feel remotely better,
Right.
and 6 months till the point where you're
And
functioning."
and that's helpful when
Yeah.
they have that the right expectation in their mind that yeah, they're not gonna see you once and have it fixed.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, with experience, the nice thing for me has been the confidence to be able to say to people, like, "This can get better, and this is what you have to do, but it could take a
Yeah.
year." I mean, I have a lot of patients who will come with, let's say, a total knee replacement. And so you've got your entire knee has been replaced surgically. And so initially, a lot of people are not happy. And sometimes they're not happy for the first 3 to 6 months.
Right.
And then you'll see them a year later and they'll say, "Thank God I did this. This is the best thing I've ever done. I'm
Yeah.
so appreciative of the surgeon, etc." And but these like the body is not as quick as AI is.
That's true. Yes,
It's
100%.
like
Yeah. And well, and today we live in a society where
instant.
every instant gratification,
Yeah, it is.
instant fixes.
I mean, it's fabulous if you've been lifting weights and you've got a little bit of a tight muscle in your neck and one of your first rib is jammed.
Right.
We can deal with that often in one session and you feel better.
Yes.
And that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great.
Healed.
Yeah. Well, and that, I mean, for sure. Like if you get a healthy person who's just got one specific injury, it can often make a big difference. But many people in Bragg Creek can tell you that,
Yeah.
I mean, with some of the, the broken bones that extend into joints, or when you've got rods up your tibia from a broken,
My
bone,
goodness.
or
Yeah.
yeah, surgeries especially, but also like the big crashes on mountain bikes, downhill skiing.
Yeah.
These things can take some time,
Yeah.
but the exciting thing is that the body does heal.
Right.
And so, yeah, patience is a virtue. I think my mother used to
That's
say
right.
that.
Yeah. All mothers
That's
did.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. All right. Question number three. What do you see as the number one challenge people face in bodily health?
We live in a world that, again, in Calgary area right now, it's dark
Mhm.
quite early, so we don't get enough sun. It's a
Right.
big one. We also aren't always provided with the healthiest food. And so looking for healthy food is
Yes.
a bit of a competitive game now. It's like a sport in itself.
It
You
is.
find your healthy food to feed you said you have a child.
Yes.
Yes, you want to feed your child well. And so
Yeah.
it becomes literally competitive, looking for the right food.
It could turn into a full-time job sometimes. Yeah.
But this affects healing, right? These
Yeah.
things all affect healing, and the toxicity. Like we are exposed to, again, as a physiotherapist, I do think about this a lot. We're exposed to fire retardants,
Oh,
with
chemicals all the
furniture,
time.
yeah,
Yes.
chemicals. So, I mean, depending on the toxicity levels that people have, it can, slow down healing,
Right.
and so we have to look at the whole picture at this point.
Yeah.
Although, physiotherapy is still, revolves more around trying to decrease pain and inflammation and then, get the right stretches and strengthening and balance
Yeah.
programs going. That's my main thing. But I do think that, yeah, our environment affects us. In Bragg Creek, we are so blessed to be here in our
Yes,
clean air,
we are.
with our clean water
Yeah.
coming down from the mountains. And,
Yes.
we do get a lot of sun. We're often outside here,
Yeah.
more so probably than some of the people that are living in big cities in this world. So,
Yeah. Yeah. We're pretty sweet out here.
yeah,
Yeah.
and when you do exercise, you help detoxify your body because you sweat, and so, I mean,
Yeah.
the lifestyle of the typical Bragg Creek person, lends itself to healing even when there are big injuries.
Yeah. That's a good point too.
Which is nice.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thanks very much for playing these two questions. That was very informative. What's your take on daylight savings time? Should we get rid of it or should we keep it?
I've always thought we should just get rid of it. I am not a farmer, so what I would like to do is I think the people that are affected the most would be people who grow things
Sure.
or have livestock.
Yeah.
So I would want to ask them. I don't feel like my opinion is educated enough to know whether or not this makes sense for us.
I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
would,
people in Saskatchewan, they seem to be okay with it.
yeah,
Because they don't change time, I don't think.
maybe
Do
not.
they? No.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
But
I don't
anyway,
think they
I
do.
that's why yeah, I think we need to ask our farmers a lot more questions.
Oh,
I
100%.
think we should be, yeah, they are grounding us to keeping us all alive.
Very much so.
It's-
Very much so. I got some personal questions for you now.
Sure.
So we help us to get to know Jennifer Wright. Do you believe in Bigfoot?
I think it's very possible. Very possible.
I like the open-mindedness. Oh, yes.
I think there's, I mean, with ground penetrating radar and satellite imagery,
I've caught something by
I
now.
don't know how anybody can
Right.
hide anymore from anything, but
It's true.
but
True.
I mean, yeah, it's a very big world out there, and so
Yeah, right on.
mystery is fun.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
When I was a kid, I was one of those kids, I never really thought about it.
Is that right? You just
No.
living in the moment.
I think I was living in the moment. I was playing my basketball and
Yeah.
volleyball and
Nice.
hockey and, enjoying the wood. I spent a lot of time in the woods, as I mentioned earlier, as a kid. And so I actually I think was connecting to the spiritual world without actually having any words to know what that meant,
Sure.
just by wandering, miles and miles, hours and hours, day after day
Of course.
through like really wild Quebec forests.
Yeah.
And that was neat. Yeah.
That's cool. What part of Quebec?
Western Quebec, very close to the Ontario border.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, just
Okay.
between Ottawa and Montreal.
Oh, very nice. All right. That
Yeah.
gives us some idea there geographically. What did your parents want you to be?
I think my parents were very open-minded. My dad
Yeah?
was a high school teacher and history. So and he was filled our whole house with books on history. And I started reading those at a very young age. Got me interested in that topic. And my mom was a phenomenal mom. I think I was gifted with a wonderful childhood. And not everyone is. I realized that. And I now know how blessed I was to have been able to grow up in like a very normal,
Yeah.
wonderful family.
Yeah.
And my parents didn't try and direct me in any direction. They just sent me out the door every day saying, work hard and play hard.
Oh, that's
Which is
fantastic.
the Bragg Creek motto, I think, isn't it?
That's
Like,
true. It should be on
it was-
license plates and bumper
Yeah.
stickers out here for sure.
Yeah.
What was your first job?
Oh, I was a waitress. Well, if you don't count babysitting, but everyone babysits.
Sure.
I was a waitress at a fancy golf club down the road from my house,
very
and I
nice.
loved it. I could have been a waitress forever.
Is that right?
I
Yeah.
loved my job.
Well, you're very social, so yeah, it makes sense.
We had huge weddings and events, and I was,
Yeah.
a teenager, and to me, it was just incredible to
Yeah.
be part of all these things. We had big political events coming in, so some of the big political fundraising campaigns would come in Quebec, and
Get to see some celebrities and
it was
politicians. Yeah.
I love being a waitress. It was great. I think it's because that's when I realized maybe indirectly that I like working with people.
Sure. Yeah,
And
of
so,
course.
as a kid, you don't really know where this is all leading, but
Yeah.
I really enjoyed working with people.
Nice. Excellent. What was your worst job?
Worst job. Oh goodness, I don't know if I've had a bad job.
No?
Don't really.
No
I have
horror
to
stories?
I had an interesting one summer, and when I was still on my direction to becoming a chemical engineer, I went around the city of Montreal testing the water,
Oh,
and then bringing the water back to the chemistry lab and looking at all the contents of the water around the city of Montreal. So
Oh,
whether it was
okay.
coliform or whether it was
Sure.
mercury or lead. So that was an interesting job. Like it was, we literally literally had very official testing
Yeah.
equipment, and we were trying to decide how bad was the water around the city of Montreal, and it's pretty bad.
Is that
And
right,
so,
eh?
yeah,
Wow.
which led me to, I think for me, it objectified what we already knew. Like, you wouldn't
Yeah.
at the time have even swam in the water around the island of Montreal. It was, you wouldn't
In
let
the St.
you wouldn't let
Lawrence?
your kid in
Oof.
there.
Yeah. No.
So anyway, when I got here and I was in Calgary and I saw people fishing in the Bow River and I saw beavers like, like
You
floating
can see the
along
bottom of the
and the
water?
bottom. I was
Yeah.
just so I spent 10 years, my first 10 years in Calgary. I was still, working as a physiotherapist, but I spent 10 years trying to keep the Bow River clean. So I did a lot of
Ah.
legislation and, worked with the city of Calgary a lot to see if we could decrease the pesticide use in the city
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, just kind of make Calgarians aware of what they had because I saw
You saw the other end of the
I saw
spectrum.
the other end of the spectrum in
Yeah.
Montreal, and I realized there was a big disconnect between like what could happen to an older city and, in this new city, everyone was still,
Yes.
yeah. Whereas Montrealers, even by the time I was older, they realized how serious this was, and they put in like incredibly strict environment laws
Good.
to try and like recover some of the,
Of
and they
course.
have, they've
Yeah.
improved things quite a lot, but I think it might take another few centuries to finish it off.
My goodness.
So I just thought we are so lucky. I
Yes.
got here and I thought, oh my gosh, like people can, you can drink the water in the lakes.
Right? Yeah.
It's amazing. We live in this magical place.
Yeah. We do. We do. We shouldn't take it for granted.
Yeah.
What was your favorite job?
Oh,
Or
well, my
is this it now?
physiotherapy jobs are always my favorite
Yeah.
jobs. I always love them. I've never, not liked any of my physiotherapy
Yeah.
jobs. I've
That's
enjoyed
good.
them all, and just the transitions have just come as they come. There's logical transitions. But working in Bragg Creek, like how I do now, is yeah, it's probably my
Yeah.
favorite point of my entire career
Exactly.
because yeah, again it takes a long time to get to be able to do the things that I can now do. And again, I tell everybody if they come to see me in 20 years, then I'll have more skills, right? Like, I mean, this is the hope with I think everybody in physiotherapy, right? As we go along, there's just more and more to learn. And yeah,
Excellent.
you can look at the human body very holistically.
No kidding. Well, you just scratch the surface basically of what goes on in the work that you do. So that's incredible. What's your special skill?
My special skill, I think
Can you read minds?
my psychic skills are low compared
All
to
right.
some of the people that
Okay.
I've been very fortunate to study with some incredible people with very amazing psychic skills.
Is that right? Hey.
And it is
Wow.
quite something. Dr. Stephen Ong was one of them, and
Okay.
he taught me and many physiotherapists and many physicians that there's certainly more to life than
100%
the
there is.
objective textbook way of
Yes.
doing things.
Yes.
Yeah. One little story I was going to tell on that. It's nothing to do with me, but I remember Dr. Ong was called into a hospital at one point in time because a baby was sick and they couldn't, help this baby in Edmonton and baby was going to die. And so, they called it 911 Dr. Ong. He was called in to consult and he immediately treated the mother. And he said, when the baby is sick, you always treat the mother. And this is a learning point for, I think, a lot of us, including
Wow.
me for sure. Baby's so connected energetically to the mother
Yes.
that birthed the baby that you've got to make sure the mother's doing really well so and her energy is strong so that the baby will do well and
That
yeah
makes sense.
there's a whole other less black and white aspect to healing that yeah is again fascinating.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right. I've got a joke for you.
Oh,
Want to
okay,
hear it?
sure.
I tried to skip leg day, but my therapist didn't find it humorous.
It's very good. That's excellent.
That's the only joke I got on.
That's a perfect physiotherapy joint. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't know. We haven't talked a lot about like the details of physiotherapy because I think most people who've been to a physiotherapist already know generally,
They have an idea.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think the summary is we're looking at your musculoskeletal system. We're looking at your circulatory system, your neurological system, and some of us, the energy system as well. And the digestive system becomes actually
Sure.
quite important too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're looking at all those systems depending on the injury, and then from there, trying to get a positive result.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, exactly. Excellent. Well, Jennifer, thank you very much for coming on Bragg N Bout Business.
it was wonderful.
It was very interesting. I feel like we just scratched the surface of. We got so much other things we could talk about, but we can only work for so much time.
Oh, no,
so.
it's fabulous. Thank you for having me.
Yes. If people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
I use email because I don't actually have a front desk staff or anything.
Okay.
I am my own secretary. So my email is Wright, WRIGHT, physio, PHYSIO, @gmail.com.
All right. We'll put that in the show
yeah.
notes for sure.
Yeah, email's great because I can answer you at midnight,
Yeah.
and you may not be, receptive to a phone call then.
Of course. Yes. All right. Excellent. Well, thanks again, Jennifer. And we'll look forward to hearing more from you in the future.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. And if you would like a consult with Jennifer, reach out at wrightphysio@gmail.com. And she's located in West Bragg Creek. Next week, we are going to delve into the mystical world of kombucha. Kombucha with Lean Villani of Belcan Kombucha. So if you've never tried it or even heard of it, tune in next week as you're going to learn a thing or two. And apparently it is delicious. Have a great week.